Now let's welcome Mr. Labanya Jena, Sustainable Finance Specialist, EPR. Mr. Labanya will be presenting a talk on investment and budget allocation. So let's welcome Mr. Labanya.
So definitely, renewable energy sector is easy. So it is commercially viable, and we are noticing a massive amount of capital is currently flowing, both from domestic market and international market, particularly international investors. So in the last year, only the equity investment in the renewable energy sector was close to 32,000 crores, which will be around 3.5, $3.6 billion of investment. In addition to that, if we see India's renewable energy debt financing requirements or debt capital mobilization, I think close to half of them is coming from abroad in the form of issuance of green bonds, not necessarily during the origination of project, but during the refinancing project. It means that there is enough comfort to the investor abroad in the renewable energy sector. Here I'm sticking myself only to the generation. But if I touch to, let's say, transmission, it will be challenging for a country like India. In the case of transmission, there will be challenge because the capacity utilization of transmission machinery will be very, very low compared to transmission which is required for renewable for thermal power plant. It means that there is a possibility of lower return on equity, which means that it will discourage investment, private investment in the transmission sector in the long term. Currently, it is able to cross-subsidize the renewable energy sector because it's getting enough revenue from the thermal power sector. We need to see that how it looks like. And then if I go back to renewable energy generation, particularly we are heavily relying on commercial banks right now instead of capital market. There are few companies which have issued green bonds. That is also at the corporate level. And some companies, they have issued green bonds outside India. But how long? So that's a big question mark. Because some of the companies which have issued green bonds and when they refinanced, suddenly they noticed that interest rate has increased. So definitely it would hit their bottom line very, very hard. So the challenge is that can Indian renewable energy company issue a long-term bonds? In fact, is it possible? The second is that can they move entirely from the banking sector to the capital market? That's about renewable energy generation. And then if we talk about other sector like industrial sector is currently contributing close to 30% of GHG emission. Although we have some policies, some schemes available, I don't think that the money we are currently mobilizing, particularly in the case of energy efficiency, is enough to reduce the emission reduction requirements in the industrial sector. Okay, it could be electrification of some of the equipments in the industrial sector, or green hydrogen, or carbon capture storage, or recycling, or energy efficiency. So one is that we don't know how much capital is going to industrial sector in reducing their emission. For example, last year, Government of India, we need to cut down the cost of green hydrogen from currently around $3 to $7 to $1 to $2. So if we are able to do, which can be used in the industrial sector, but it's not happening right now. It's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years, not less than that. So what does it mean? It means that since green hydrogen is not commercially viable, or there are not enough off-taker, so there is a massive, I will say, some public capital impetus is required in the green hydrogen sector, which will help the industrial sector. Then the other areas, anyway, MSME always struggle to raise capital from mainstream financiers. Now we are asking them to decarbonize. Is it possible for them to raise capital for, let's say, for investing in rooftop solar or energy efficiency? That's a question mark. Then we need to see about transportation. When we're talking about transportation, it is, so definitely electric vehicle is a big chunk. I think more or less it is commercially viable, three-wheelers, two-wheelers, and cars. Although there are some challenges regarding charging, but I think it will be sorted out. There will be enough private capital will be available in the future. It's quite possible. But on the other side, we need to see that battery storage, for example, battery charging infrastructure or battery manufacturing. We keep on saying about energy securities. Can you import a battery from China? Is it possible that? What is the battery storage manufacturing capacity here in India? I think it's currently only 1 gigawatt or so, 1 gigawatt hour compared to in China, it could be more than 1,000. Okay, we are very, very small. So if we really want to decarbonize the entire transportation sector, starting with battery, definitely we need to have our own, we need to invest heavily in the charging station as well as battery manufacturing. In addition to that, I can see in the case of buildings, I think directly and indirectly it is contributing 25% of GHG emission. There are some announcement by the government of India to support low-income families to install rooftop solar system. And it is excellent idea that if we are able to support, I believe that it is also going to help government to reduce the subsidies which are available, because once they migrate from grid, they consume a significant portion of electricity by using rooftop solar. They can indirectly help to reduce government subsidies burden. It's a good step. Why I'm discussing quality of electricity? The reason is that if you are not able to reduce the temperature by a couple of degrees, it will be impossible, for example, for the lower income family to rely on air conditioner for 16 hours a day. Currently, we keep on seeing that temperature is touching 45 degree and 50 degree. So we need buildings which can reduce the in-house temperature by 4 to 5 degrees. It's only possible if those families, if there is a condition attached to the government support, that it will only be invested in greenhousing, which will help in reducing temperature. So I'll stop here and take some questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lavanya, for sharing your views.